Hi, my name is Matt Kendricks, and I'm the lead developer for dSIPRouter. The goal here is to talk about two new features that we have inside of dSIPRouter. And the first feature is called inbound DID mapping with the ability to support a primary and a backup PBX or endpoint. The second feature is really focused on being able to deal with situations where you need to take a PBX or endpoint out of service. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to log into dSIPRouter, and we're going to go ahead and create a inbound DID mapping. And so I'm going to go ahead and just add one manually here. And I'm going to enter in a DID. So let me just pop over to SkyTel, which is one of our sponsors, and grab a number here. This number is already set to route to our demo box. So I'm just going to copy the number and drop it into here. Okay. And then I'm going to specify a primary PBX that I want the call to be routed to. So we have two PBXs. We have one called PBX01, and then we're going to have a failover PBX. And then we can put a note here, and we're going to say testing inbound mapping using SkyTel, and click add. What you'll notice is that now inside of dSIPRouter, if you have a secondary server, you'll see a little +1 here. So you know that this server has a secondary or backup server. So I'm going to go ahead and reload this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make an inbound call into there. I'm going to pull up my my terminal. I'm going to log into dSIPRouter really quickly. And make this a little bit bigger for us. Click grep, and let's give it a ring, and we can see what happens. Okay, so we see the call coming in. You can see the call hitting our boxes, the internal IP address of dSIPRouter, and then we just created these PBXs really doesn't exist. So we just gave it a fake IP 1234. You can see that invites are actually being sent to that server, but there's no response. So what happens is that by default, we'll probably be changing this in the future, but by default right now is that if the PBX doesn't respond within 10 seconds, it will actually fail over to the secondary server. 10 seconds is not a lot of time in some cases where the systems take a bit longer. So we made it an actually configuration option. So you actually can change that. But I'll talk about that in a couple of seconds. So you can see here that it tries the first PBX, and then if it doesn't get an answer, then it tries the second PBX, which is at 432.1. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what that configuration option looks like so that you can go in and change it. We really don't have anything in the GUI for dSIPRouter to really change this, but you can actually change this and then restart either just Camilio or dSIPRouter in general. Let me just, to make this easier for us to read, okay, and then we're going to go to a setting, okay, and there is the setting here. It's actually right here. So the name of the setting is actually server.pbx_invite_timeout. So by default it is 10,000 milliseconds, which is 10 seconds. You can change that or modify it as you see fit. Probably we'll be shipping with 60,000 milliseconds moving forward, and then we'll allow you to go down, because we're getting a lot of complaints from people saying that, hey, now since you implemented this feature, basically, the call is actually, not completing, or it doesn't have enough time to get the voicemail because 10 seconds is just not long enough. So we understand, and we're going to actually, address that by increasing the timeout, and you can actually configure it yourself. And we most likely will have an enhancement to this feature that will hopefully resolve this issue totally. So stay tuned to that. So I wanted to show you a little bit of that. And so that's the first new feature that we have. On top of that feature, we've also added a feature for being able to deal with maintenance issues. Here goes these two servers, and PBX and Endpoint, right? And what we can do is actually take one of these servers out of production and put it into maintenance mode. So what I'm going to do is actually highlight the first one here, and I'm actually going to set enable maintenance mode. Okay. When we do that, you're going to get a little wrench here, basically denoting that it's in maintenance. And what this really means is that when the inbound call comes in, the system knows that this system is marked as in maintenance. So it's not going to even try to send traffic to this particular PBX or endpoint. It's going to go directly to the standby. So let's go ahead and click reload, and let's actually show that inside of our GUI here. All right, so let's exit out of here and go back to SNGrep, and let's make this call again. So our expected behavior again is not for it to try the 1234 server. It should go directly to the 4321. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So I'm calling. We see the number hit, and we're seeing it here. Is going directly to the 4321 server, right? So again, this is a feature where people were asking for ability to be able to take a system out of service, do some maintenance to it, and then obviously put it back in service, and not have to do a whole bunch of changing. Because as we saw before, is that this inbound DID is mapped to these two PBXs. So the main driver here was that we didn't want people to have to go back in and make any changes to the inbound DID mapping just because something needed to be in service. So this is why this particular feature exists. So again, thank you so much for supporting the project. I will be posting more videos this summer. We have a lot of different things that's planned. If you get a chance and you want to learn more about dSIPRouter, please attend one of our actual training classes. They're going to happen the fourth week of every month. And there's going to be a lot of new things that we're going to be talking about. So in that class, we'll be talking about the API features that we'll be having. So we're going to have some lightweight APIs and what we call the open source version of dSIPRouter. And we also are working on an enterprise version. And actually, we have the first release out, unofficially already of enterprise, but we just haven't announced it officially. We're also in this enterprise, we're also going to have the ability to limit subtrunks. So there's some cool things that we'll be talking about in our training courses. So please, again, thank you for being supportive. Please keep sending us feedback. Please keep entering issues, and we will address them as soon as we can. All right, thank you, and take care.